Good evening, everybody. So, the last 12 months in the mortgage market have been pretty rough, to say the least, 18 months in fact. I'll go through this evening a bit of structure where we're at, where we've been, and where we're likely to go moving forward. It's a lot more stable, I'd like to say, the mortgage market over the past probably 3 to 6 months. So this will all make sense in a few moments. So you can see here a 5-year SONIA swap today is being bought in, or yesterday this was, at 4.063%. So if I'm NatWest, you're Santander, and you're buying money from me, you'd be buying it in at 4.063%. And then you'd sell the mortgage out at a pricing above that. So on residential lending, SONIA swaps, you can see 5-year fixed rates at the moment at about 4.2, 4.4%. So the banks are making actually incredibly small margins on debt at the moment. Yep. So what's really interesting, this is where it's really important for you guys to know, is actually the new norm is likely to be around 4.5%. So when you're pricing your portfolios, work a little bit above that, because buy-to-lets have always been a bit more expensive than residential lending. So if you're pricing your portfolio and managing your portfolio on 5.5%, that's probably the new norm. The big thing is to shift the mindset, because we've had this ridiculously low period from 2000, it was about 2013 actually, it wasn't as early as 2009 when the Bank of England base rate dropped. We had this ridiculously low period of low interest rates, and it gave people false hope on what the mortgage market was really about. What's happening here is just normalising. So people who started their portfolios in 2000 to 2006 were paying anything around 6.5% anyway. We know that interest rates house prices have increased, but rents have, not proportionately, but they have increased over that period as well. What has changed is the tax position. So the tax position now, I'm not a tax advisor by any means, but people who hold properties in their personal name can no longer write off the interest as a full tax deductible cost, and that's where landlords were crippled. You only get a tax credit now. So moving forward, people are buying in limited company. Limited company, as it stands, interest is a full tax deductible cost. So what I'd kind of urge you to do when you're looking at portfolios is understand the cost of borrowing, what that looks like for the banks. So the banks are prepared to sell money at this moment in time at 4.063% to other banks, and they put a margin on top. This really is suggesting over the next 5 years, the base rate isn't going to come down below 4%, considerably below 4%. So people are always sitting on the fence waiting for things to happen. We're waiting for interest rates to drop. We don't really want to make an offer on that property until we know what the Bank of England base rate is likely to do next month. Will it have a huge impact if interest rates come down? Probably not. Banks will just increase their margin. So what I'm saying at the moment is at 4.063, and banks on residential debt are making a really, really fine margin. If interest rates come down, the banks will start to look at how they can make a profit. So the economic uncertainty actually, for me, is where there is opportunity. And this, I don't know kind of how to handle this in the right way, but there are going to be landlords out there that are doom and gloom, feared, and they just want to get rid. That's actually where there's opportunity, because they think, oh, house prices are, at the peak, we're going to get rid of them. That's where, for me, you create your wealth, really. When there's economic uncertainty, I think historically people have used the word blood on the ground, and that's where you create and get your hands on opportunity. So the outlook actually for buy-to-lets at this moment in time, I think is pretty positive compared to where it has been. Certainly from a financing perspective, 12, 18 months ago, it looked like it was the end of the world. We couldn't get anything to stack up. So when I say stack up, the rates were so high that we couldn't get buy-to-lets to stack up. The rent was nowhere near covering the mortgage. We're now in a position where I said a few moments ago, you've got lenders offering rates with reasonable arrangement fees at 4.09% for a 5-year fixed. Some of you kind of more experienced landlords in here may have seen some ridiculously high arrangement fees. So you might see low rates at 3.5%, 4%. But they charge in 7% arrangement fee. I think LendInvest is one of them that do that. I'll explain why that actually can be quite a good product. So if you've got, and this is where, again, a shift in the mindset. So if you've got a property that's perfect to buy, but it's quite high value and not great rents, most lenders stress test, if it was limited company buy to let, at about 5.5% at 125%. Yep. So that basically means whatever the rent is, you can get X amount on a loan. Because interest rates have been so high, you've not been able to get anything to stack up. But actually, there's been some incredibly good buys out there, but you just have turned a blind eye to it because you couldn't get it to stack up. And this actually is where the mortgages that you see with interest, with arrangement fees of 7%, and you go, Jesus Christ, I can't justify paying a 7% arrangement fee. But if the interest rate's 3.5% and you average that 7% over the 5-year period, actually then it doesn't look so bad overall when you do the total cost analysis. But what it means, you can buy a property that you perhaps think didn't stack up previously. If the capital growth is in that property, so you're getting it for a really good buy, what's 7% if the property is going to go up by 20% as soon as you bought it?